Hi everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of the Large Nerdron Collider.
Now wait a minute, Ariel. Didn't we just shoot a very special episode?
No, Jonathan, this is a different very special episode, remember?
Oh, right. Instead of smashing things together to see what happens, we're actually going to be taking something apart.
Because science isn't just about building new things, it's about taking older things and methodically disassembling them to see what made them work in the first place until we can put our hands on the still beating heart of the subject and feel the last few trembles fade away.
You scary.
Yes, I am. And so today we're going to look at films that owe their story and structure, at least in some part, to Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai.
Now, our challenge is to find the Seven Samurai's Seven Sons. 7 films that reflect the original in some way. So, Ariel, it's time for us to do your favorite thing in the whole wide world.
Competitive cosplay tobogganing.
No. Your other favorite thing in the whole wide world?
Seven Samurai is a classic film by Akira Kurosawa, one of the most influential directors of all time.
That's true. In fact, he has influenced everyone from George Lucas to George Lucas.
Seven Samurai is a story about a village that is plagued by marauders. But the village is very poor, and the marauders know this, so they say that they'll spare the village until harvest time and then come and take all of their food, so they have poor empty tummies.
The village chief decides that the best course of action is to hire samurai to defend the village, but they don't really have any money. All they can offer is rice, and most warriors turn them down straight away.
However, 6 warriors and one very enthusiastic and irritating young man rise to the challenge. They train the village in warfare and help them defend against the marauders. After suffering a few losses, they emerge victorious.
Spoiler alert. Now, some of you are probably thinking, hey, this sounds like some other movies I've seen. So, let's kick off Seven Sons of Seven Samurai with number...
The Magnificent Seven is a film starring Yul Brynner, James Coburn, Steve McQueen, Charles Bronson, and a ton of other actors you'd recognize, even if you don't know their names.
It's a literal retelling of Seven Samurai, an adaptation where samurai story and western collide in a good old-fashioned mashup.
It follows the same basic plot line. A poor village is being harassed by bandits, and some representatives hire a ragtag team of gunfighters.
Some of them join out of a sense of honor, some because they think it's a challenge, some of them join because they think this way might be the best way to die and end their legacy.
The movie spawned a television series, which is odd considering not everybody survives the film. But hey, that never stops Hollywood. Next.
So, what happens when you smash up Star Wars with the Magnificent Seven?
Ooh, you get Battle Beyond the Stars, starring Richard Thomas. Good night, John Boy.
But, Ariel, we haven't finished shooting yet.
No, Richard Thomas was John Boy in the Waltons, goofus.
Oh, well, anyway, this story takes place in space. Invaders threaten a farming planet, and the young boy has to go off and hire mercenaries to protect his people. He gets a ragtag group of misfits to help him.
Including one played by Robert Vaughn, who was in The Magnificent Seven.
Ooh, the movie or the TV series?
Both. He was actually in another film on this list too, but we'll get to there. Anyway, in Battle Beyond the Stars, he pretty much plays the same character as he did in the Magnificent Seven film. He even has some of the same lines.
No, well, you know what, Ariel? I used to love this movie when I was a kid, and then recently I had a chance to revisit it.
And?
It does not hold up well, but the kick-ass Valkyrie character in the movie has some amazing costumes that show off her ample cleavage, so it gets 10 stars from me.
It would. Next.
The Seven Samurai formula has even been used for some comedies.
Such as A Bug's Life.
Oh, is that why you're wearing the antenna?
Wearing what? Bug's Life is a Pixar film where an ant has to find someone to help him defend his colony against evil grasshoppers.
In this case, he actually goes out and recruits circus performers rather than trained soldiers. It's a fact our hero, Flick, doesn't figure out until it's too late to do anything about it.
But the circus performers do help the colony learn how to work together to fight off the grasshoppers. Other than having more than 7 circus performers, it's pretty much exactly the same story.
Yeah, in fact, they even bring back that little plot element that the bad guys are after the food. That comes from Seven Samurai itself.
Oh, but let's go on to an even more ludicrous comedy. Next!
Okay, so you've got this poor village in Mexico, and it's the target of a notorious leader of bandits. They have nowhere to turn, so they look for figures that represent truth and justice.
The problem is, the figures of truth and justice they find are just actors who play characters on the screen. Now, the poor village doesn't understand the difference between movie fiction and the truth, so voila, you have...
The Three Amigos! Now we're down to just 3 heroes, but essentially the story is the same. A group has to look outside of itself to find help to solve a problem.
Now the 3 amigos do eventually get their act together and help the villagers defend against the bandits. It is a wacky, silly take on the story, but the structure is the same. And did you know that the original 7 Samurai also had a singing bush played by Randy Newman?
No, I didn't know that. Because you just made it up.
That's right. Now what happens when we take the 3 amigos and put them into space? Next. And that's what the movie Galaxy Quest is about.
It's a great movie. Not only is it really entertaining, it's also a celebration of sci-fi geekery all around.
Much like the 3 amigos, it's about actors being mistaken for the real thing. Only in this one, aliens under attack by an evil conqueror mistake the cast of a science fiction television show as the crew of a real starship.
Now this gives the cast the opportunity to live out their fantasy lives on screen for real, and in the process, teach the aliens how to stand up for themselves.
And by Grabthar's hammer, it is one of the best adaptations of the 7th Samurai structure. Next.
Alright, now we've got another mashup. What happens when you take Arthurian legend, the scant historical records we have of the actual King Arthur, and the film 7 Samurai?
You get the 2004 film King Arthur starring Clive Owen as the title character. Now this film takes place in 467 AD, which is technically after the Romans left Britain, but King Arthur is portrayed to be half Roman, half Celt.
Right, so the king is joined by 6 of his greatest knights.
Hey, get it? King Arthur plus 6 knights equals...
And they forge an allegiance with the Britons, the natives of that land. And normally they would be enemies, but together they have to fight so they can defend the land against an invading force of Saxons.
The climactic final battle takes place on Baden Hill, and if you've seen 7 Samurai and the King Arthur movie, you'll probably notice some similarities.
Now, we are finally down to the last entry on this list. What the heck could it possibly be?
Okay, what if I were to tell you this last mashup is 7 Samurai, Mighty Ducks, and Break Into Electric Boogaloo?
I would say that you are a crazy person and should not be allowed to talk to people.
Right, and you'd say I was talking about the film The Magnificent 11.
Now wait, hang on. Are you saying we're about to talk about a mashup that's a remake of another mashup that's a remake of another film?
Yep, and from what I hear, it's terrible. I mean, I've never seen it, but the basic story is that a football team in London called the Cowboys is getting a new sponsor, an Indian restaurant.
Oh wait, hang on. So the Cowboys are being sponsored by the Indians?
Oh, it gets much worse. The Indian restaurant is being threatened by a group of mobsters run by a guy named American Bob. And guess who plays him?
I really don't know.
Come on, guess.
Robert Vaughn.
Yes.
No way!
Yes way! The same guy who was in the Magnificent 7 movie and television series and Battle Beyond the Stars.
Wow, he is milking the 7 Samurai for all their... I wish I had chosen a different way to say that.
Anyway, the Cowboys are trying to protect the Indians from the mobsters and blah, 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 blah. Apparently it's awful.
But it does show you exactly how far the 7 Samurai trope has spread into film.
Yeah, and we haven't even covered the anime Samurai 7, which takes the original story and puts a new twist on it.
Yeah, there are countless examples out there. It all boils down to this. The 7 Samurai has inspired more mashups than pretty much anything else we can think of, and for that, we salute you.
This was a lot of fun, but next week we're going to go back to our normal mashups. So if you have an idea of some things you would like to see mashed together, let us know in the comments below.
And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like it, subscribe to our channel, share it along with your friends. It'd be really swell of you.
And see you next time.
You only hurt the things you love, Ariel.